Stand a Dutchman next to a Guatemalan, and you'll see 20 centimeters of daylight between the tops of their heads. That's not a quirk of two men. That's the average. And here's the unsettling part. Neither of them chose it. Their height was decided before they could walk. It was set by the food on the table and the health of the country they were born into. Today, we're reading the world as a height map, because the tallest nations on Earth are not just tall. They're a fossil record of a good childhood. Let's start where the giants live. The Netherlands stands first. The average Dutch man now reaches 184 centimeters, just over 6 feet. That makes Holland the tallest country ever measured. But here's the thing, the Dutch don't advertise. They used to be small. Go back 150 years, and the average Dutchman stood about 165 centimeters. That was among the shortest in Europe. In a century and a half, they grew roughly 20 centimeters. No country has ever risen so far, so fast. The Dutch didn't get lucky. They got fed. So what changed under their feet? Wealth, mostly, and how evenly it was shared. As the Netherlands grew rich, it grew rich downward. Clean water arrived. Milk and cheese became daily, not occasional. A national health system reached the poorest children. Those are the ones whose growth is decided at the margins. Height, it turns out, is democracy you can measure. When a whole nation eats well as children, the whole nation stands tall. The Dutch simply did it more completely than anyone else. Now move south and east to a poorer corner of Europe that breaks the rule. Montenegro is not a wealthy country, yet the average Montenegrin man reaches under 3 centimeters. That's a single centimeter behind the mighty Dutch. Next door, Bosnia and Herzegovina stands at 82. This is the strangest data on the whole map. These nations went through war and hardship in the 1990s. That's exactly when the children we're measuring were being raised. By nutrition alone, they should be shorter. They are not. Something older than wealth is at work here. That something is written in the genes of the Dinaric Alps. The men of Bosnia and Herzegovina carry an ancient marker, a Y chromosome lineage called IM17T. It sits at the highest rate found anywhere on Earth. In parts of Herzegovina, it appears in more than 70% of men, and it tracks height almost as tightly as nutrition does. So the Balkans are a living experiment. They show what raw human stature can be when deep genetics push up even as a hard economy pushes down. The mountains, it seems, breed giants on purpose. Look at the wider map, and a pattern hardens. The tall belt runs across northern and eastern Europe. Estonia reaches 18.2 centimeters. Denmark and Iceland sit near 18.2 as well. Croatia and Serbia cluster around 18.1. These are cold countries, dairy countries. They have long traditions of feeding children well. Their height is not an accident of latitude. It's centuries of butter, fish, and reliable winter stores printed into bone. The map of height, in the end, is a map of who never went hungry as a child. But now we come to the country that should be tallest and isn't, the United States. A century ago, Americans were among the tallest people in the world. Today, the average American man stands about 107 centimeters. The nation has slipped to roughly 37th place. The Americans didn't shrink, they stalled. Sometime around 1980, the long climb in American height simply stopped. Europe kept rising right past them. That stall is the most important thing on this entire map. So why did the richest country quit growing? Not for lack of money. It was for how unevenly the money lands. Height is decided in the first 1,000 days of life by prenatal care and childhood nutrition. And in America, the gap between the best-fed children and the rest has widened, not closed. A wealthy nation can still raise short children if it raises them unequally. The American body, measured at 19, is quietly reporting back on the American childhood. The verdict is mixed. Now hold America in your mind. And watch what South Korea did in the same window. In 1 century, the average South Korean woman grew more than 20 centimeters. That is the single largest height gain of any group, anywhere, ever recorded. South Korea's men climbed too, and now reach about 176 centimeters. These were poor people who got richer and poured the gains straight into their children. Korea, in 3 generations, walked the road the Dutch walked in 5. Height is the receipt for a childhood that suddenly got better. The same story rises in Iran. Over 1 century, Iranian men grew 16.5 centimeters. That's the largest gain for men recorded anywhere on Earth. Iran was a poorer nation that fed its children better, generation after generation. So the fastest risers on this map are not the old rich. They're the newly fed. A country's height curve bends upward the moment its children stop going hungry. Now turn to the other end of the world's height map, and the story stops being charming. Guatemala stands among the shortest nations on Earth. The average Guatemalan man reaches about 164 centimeters. In the indigenous Maya highlands, it is far less. Nearly half of all Guatemalan children are stunted. That's the highest rate in all of Latin America. Stunting is a clinical word and a brutal one. It means a child's body, starved of nutrition in its first years, gives up some of its height to survive. That lost height never comes back. And here is the proof that this is hunger, not heritage. When Maya children are raised in the United States with steady food and clean water, they grow up around 10 centimeters taller than Maya children raised in Guatemala. Same genes, same ancestry. 10 centimeters of difference bought entirely by a better childhood. So Guatemala's short stature is not written in Maya blood. It's written in Maya poverty. The map isn't showing us biology there, it's showing us a wound. Pull back, and the global pattern is plain. India sits around 166 centimeters. Much of South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa clusters low. And the very floor of the map sits in Timor-leste, where men average about 160 centimeters. These are not weaker peoples. They are, overwhelmingly, peoples whose grandparents and parents were hungry and whose children still are. Across the century, the NCD researchers studied. Some nations gained 20 centimeters, and some gained almost nothing at all. The difference between them was never genes. It was the dinner table. Now, a quiet twist to end the climb. Even the Dutch have stopped getting taller. After 150 years of rising, the great Dutch growth spurt has flattened. It may even have dipped a hair. They've hit the ceiling of their own potential, the point where better food buys no more height. It's a strange kind of victory. A nation grows until childhood can't be improved any further, and then it simply stands there at the top, fully paid up. So what is a height map really showing us? Not who is strong or superior or favored by nature. It's a photograph of childhoods, taken a generation late. Every tall nation is a country that, at some point, decided to feed all of its children, not just some. Every short nation is, more often than not, a record of want. The body keeps the score in centimeters, and the tallest nations on Earth are simply the ones that, long ago, took the best care of the smallest people they had.